Hello, hello. Are we live? Are we live? I think we're live. G'day! G'day everyone! How's everyone doing? Right. Just trying to set up the data. It's not gone live just yet. I hope everyone's good. Hey Camille! Hello again! I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Great, you're ignoring school. As long as you've got no tests, it's alright, man. When you get into real life, no one does anything on a Friday afternoon anyway. Nobody does any work. Back me up here, guys. How much work do you generally get done? Gone 12 o'clock on a Friday. Gone. How much? I think it's a universal thing. Not a lot. But I hope everyone's good. I've just had some lunch. Hey Kelvin, good to see you again, mate. All the way from Kenya. And good to see you again. Hey Manj, all the way from India. Thank you, buddy. It's great to see how global we have gone with this stream and just providing you guys, obviously, F1 content that you can all enjoy. So, let me just try... Put that up there, and we're ready to go? I think we're ready to go. Oh, got my energy drink. Bosh. Oh, what's going on here? Why is that? It's not far enough over. That's because there's no lap times yet. Probably. Bosh, there we go. Did I get dizzy the first time I used VR? Yes, Chris. I got quite a bit of motion sickness, actually. Yeah, it's a shock to the system. Because your body is expecting you to move, but it doesn't. So there's a disconnect between what you're expecting to feel and, yeah, what you expected to feel and what your eyes are seeing. So yeah, it just takes a little while. Just use it in drips and drabs, mate. If you're getting motion sickness, just bear with it. Try and avoid reversing. That really used to really freak me out. Yeah, but should be all right. All right, can we do this here? There we go. Right, I think we're ready to rock and roll. Yes, afternoon, everyone. Afternoon, FP2. So the big news, guys, if you've missed it, is that Charles Leclerc has picked up a 10-place grid penalty for having to take a new battery in FP1. So yes, not ideal for him or Ferrari's hopes in the championship, in the Constructors Championship. So yes, on the back foot for sure. But at this late stage in the season, could it be a masterstroke? Because a new battery... It's going to have had no mileage compared to all the other drivers and cars that have got considerable mileage on their parts. So maybe a circuit where it is possible to overtake, primarily only one overtaking opportunity. Well, there's two, outside chance down into turn 9, but primarily it happens down into turn 6. We may see a masterful drive from Leclerc, maybe one for the ages, we'll see. So... Am I planning on doing any of my racing between now and the new season? What, F1 season? Yes, most definitely. The new season on iRacing starts next week, and I'm going to try to. So yes, I'll definitely be doing plenty of racing, and that's for sure. Hey Lily, yeah, that's pretty much the big news that has come out. So yeah. The good old Ferrari days for Alonso, GP2 engine, yeah. Who do I reckon will be the strongest team this weekend? Waiting for George to give Max a proper fight. Well, I expected, I think, like many, that Ferrari and McLaren will be good here because it's a sort of circuit that suits them. Leclerc was P1, Lando Norris was P2. A couple of attempts separating them, but this is the session that is more relevant, or is the most relevant out of all the practice sessions, because it's heading into the evening and where we're going to have night session. And yeah, that's what qualifying and the race on Sunday is as well. So FP1 and FP3 are in the morning, so track temperature is considerably hotter. So this is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Maybe we'll see some quali runs here as well in this session, because, yeah, it's going to be indicative of what we're going to see condition-wise over the course of the weekend in the sessions that generally matter. Gaming, quick question. If a car loses its tyre and the tyre finished the race first, but the car finishes behind another car, who wins? The car, not the tyre. The tyre needs to be attached to the car. Ferrari is cooked for constructors. Well, yeah, they're even more so on the back foot now, Mario. Even more so. I would say that 10-place grid penalty, it puts one hand on the constructors title for McLaren. But we've seen strange things happen this season, so I wouldn't put it past them to, wouldn't put it past them, really, to still do something Ferrari. Just saw Verstappen's going to be a dad. I know, Camille, I know. Congratulations to him. Maybe this is him not going to... This is it. He's won his last world title now. Once you have a kid, you have less time. You lose a couple of attempts. It's just the law. It's just physics. Ferrari gets 1-2 while Lando fucks into turn 13. Turn 13? That's the I'm trying to get my bearings here. That's the hotel, isn't it, here? The hotel section now. Max has won the last 3 years here. Yeah, I mean, don't rule Max out. Max and George, and I mean, Mercedes as well looked okay in FP1. But yeah, this is the session. This is the session where we're truly going to see what the pace is looking like. Pouring the tea, this lot. That's what we do here, Lily. That's what we do. We are getting mini Kimi Raikkonen soon. It's all fine. Yeah, he's been he's been putting his son for his pace, isn't he? In karting. Max will feel it now. Yeah, Russell always has started not bad, then loses places. Yeah. Look, George Russell's starts haven't been overly great either. But I said with Lando, the more times you put yourself in those positions, the more likely you are to learn from them, rather than being there once or twice, you know. So yeah, right, not long until this session gets underway, guys. Just 5 minutes time until we have FP2. We'll see who's going to be fastest in this cooling track temperature here with 32.7 degrees. It was about 37 a minute ago. So yeah, as we head into the evening time, it's sunset now in Abu Dhabi. This is where the teams are truly going to find out where their pace sits against their competitors. Of course, Charles Leclerc is going to be an interesting one. Has that 10-place grid penalty. If McLaren win this race, that's it, game over. So McLaren... Ferrari really need a 1-2, so they really need to kind of lay down the marker, even in these practice sessions, in my opinion. Match happening in Brazil with a new engine, P7 into P1, don't count Aunt Charles. No, that's what I'm saying, gaming, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if he gets a decent start as well, I mean, of course, he needs to qualify well. That's the first job for Charles, because if he doesn't qualify, let's say he qualifies P3, P4, I mean, he's going to be starting down in 14th, 15th. That's not good. Like, that's not good enough. If he qualifies just like around the top 5, he needs to be qualifying P1, really. He needs to be qualifying on pole, or at least like P2, to minimise that damage. So it would be a great season ending for Lando if he gets pole and bottles it. So much better than studying for your accountancy test. But yeah, can't believe it's last race of the season, guys. Once again, big thank you to everyone who continues to keep tuning into these watch-alongs. It's been a long one. It's been a long one. And I'm looking forward, actually, to kind of, as much as I'd love these watch-alongs, getting kind of my weekends back for a few months, to be honest with you. Is it possible that Mercedes will do well because of the track temps? I think they'll do okay. There might be similar performance to Qatar, maybe not have the race pace. They may have a single lap pace, but I don't know. We'll see. You never really know with Mercedes what one is going to turn up, but 32 degrees is still too high for them. They really need the track temperature for them to be around like the fastest car. They need the track temperatures to be sub 20 degrees, which we're not seeing here. No way. Either way, we get a different winner, and that's brilliant. Exactly. Top 3 prediction. Ooh. Ask me after practice. Hey, Loris. What's my thoughts on the coming concept cars for the new series of F1? New series of F1? Do you mean for 2026, the new regs? In terms of pace, who do you think might have advantage in these conditions? I think Ferrari and McLaren. Who knows with Max as well? Max obviously always goes well here. He was out of FP1 because of the rookie tests. The rookies were in it, so he gave his car up to Isaac Hadjar. So yeah, we'll see obviously Max's true pace. First look at his pace here in FP2. So never rule Max out, of course, at Abu Dhabi. But that Red Bull is not the fastest car here, of course, for the last couple of years. So Julian, yes. So the idea, Valoris, is that for 2026, the new regs is that DRS is no longer a thing. So what we'll have to combat that is active aero. So the drivers will have the ability to basically alter the wing angle and the rear wing angle through corners, or from corner to corner, basically. So it's to ensure, it's to try and it's basically to try and close up the racing in the corners, and to ensure that drivers can follow through corners, to ensure that DRS isn't needed. So that's the idea, is to eliminate the need for DRS. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, that's the idea of it, is that they can alter the front wing and rear wing angle. Now, in regards to if there's going to be limitations on what they can change or how many times they can change that in the lap, I don't know. Maybe there will be that sort of rule put in place that they can only use it twice in a lap, basically. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's an interesting concept, and it's to try and promote closer racing, as kind of the new regs generally always are. But hey, Gavin, good to see you, mate. Welcome. Good to see you, mate. It's just Max Racing. He's at this point. Checo is just vibing on his own. Yeah. So speaking of Checo, there was a very interesting tidbit earlier from Christian Horner. So I was watching when I was having lunch, I was watching the team principal press conference that they had. So they were chatting to Mattia Bonotto from Stake F1, Andrea Stella from McLaren, and Christian Horner. And they were talking to Horner, and they were coming to the end of his questioning, and they asked him about seats, about VCARB, about Checo's position, and the interviewer was asking, do you think he do you already know like who's going to be in what seat for next year? And Horner he didn't say no and he didn't say yes, and he just kind of did his very good impression of a politician and kind of skirted around the question. But then he kind of had a bit of a Freudian slip at the end, where he was saying about that they're going to wait till the end of the season, they're going to analyse the data and so forth, and they'll make an informed decision. And then he went, I can't remember the exact, I think I'm quoting this correctly, or maybe I'm not, but he basically went, as green light is open, guys, he basically went, but we'll have to see what Checo decides. And I was like, there you go. Like, with his comments last week about Checo's an adult, he can make like his decisions and stuff. That is basically, I believe Red Bull are not in control of what Sergio Perez does. They are trying to put the pressure on, that's it, he will make the right decision. And this time he went, well, but we'll see what Checo decides. So it's in Checo's hands. Checo has full control over his seat, not Red Bull. And that is because he is locked in with a contract that no doubt has a considerable buyout fee that Red Bull don't want to pay. It's well documented that he brings in over 30 million in sponsorship. He's supposedly bringing even more sponsors for next year. And I think Red Bull want him out of that seat, but they can't. So they're trying their utmost to drop these little bits into the media to try and apply pressure on him. And Perez this weekend is very bullish that he's got a contract. So yeah, maybe it's up to Carlos Slim. Maybe. I mean, if he's the biggest benefactor, I would presume it's the fact that he's got a contract for one more year, and there's just a considerable buyout clause that they don't want to pay, like a massive termination fee. But even for someone of Red Bull size, they're like, nah, we're not paying that. And I think that the fact that they said they're no longer interested in Colapinto maybe makes me think that they are still interested, but Colapinto maybe couldn't. His benefactors couldn't really stump up the money that was sufficient for breaking Perez's contract. So yeah, we'll see. The garage would be so disgustingly awkward if Perez stayed. Why would he want to experience that? Seymour Shaman. Yeah, but look, he probably wants to prove people wrong. I think he's probably like, no, sod everyone else. I want to prove people wrong. And I guess maybe if you're seeing that everyone wants to shove you out, he's like digging his heels in deeper. So Carlos was a great option before re-signing Checo for 25 season. Yeah, I agree. And Carlos Sainz has come out and said that as well, hasn't he? He's come out and said he's a bit bizarre. Some of the decisions made by the top teams for seats, or he said some of the decisions made by teams for their drivers seem a little bit bizarre. And I think we know who he was specifically aiming that at. So nice one, Carlos. Nice one. Perez has to look after his own wallet. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping for this race that Mercedes at least give Lewis a decent send-off with a podium finish. I wouldn't put too much on it, Valoris. I wouldn't bank too much on that, but we'll see. We'll see. But yes, this is going to be an interesting session now. So the track temperature is continuing to fall. It's 32.5 degrees now. Air temperature is starting to fall as well as we're heading into the evening session. So yeah, sun is setting over Abu Dhabi, and this session will end in darkness. So everyone out on the mediums, but I wouldn't surprise me if we see some soft runs at some point in this session for quali, because it's the only evening practice session we get before quali tomorrow. Could be it, but I don't think he's got it in him, else surely he would have turned it around by now. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think Perez has got it in him. But yellow, and Stroll is off at turn 2. Is that him just moving out of the way though for lap traffic? I think so. It's not a Strollism just yet. Can we stay on the running and away from politics, please? Politics is part of F1, Brendan, whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, F1 doesn't begin and end on track, it continues off of it. Oscar Piastri will be world champion next 2 years. Maybe. He's improved this year, but not improved enough. Lando Norris is still the number 1 driver, and the table point standing does not lie. So Bottas up into P2. Go on, Bottas. Damn you, Leclerc, with that brand new battery power unit. Do you think Verstappen may retire sooner now that he has a kid on the way? No, I don't think so. As long as Verstappen is still interested in racing in F1 and there's some spiciness to it, and he's not out up front on his own. Like Max likes winning, and as soon as he stops winning, he'll soon realise, I want to get back to that point of winning all the time. The fact, I get it though, like the last few years have probably been a bit boring for him, winning by 20 plus seconds. So that becomes boring, and obviously you want a close battle for a championship. I no doubt he's probably enjoyed this one a lot more than he has the last two. Lewis Hamilton was the same as well when he was dominating. He even said it would be great to have the other teams up there and improve so that he can obviously enjoy a title fight, because that's what these drivers live for. They want to actually go properly racing and get the buzz of going wheel to wheel and getting the better of their opponents. obviously Max, with his talent and the car advantage he had the last couple of years, he was devoid of that because his teammate was well off the pace. So Williams might have been better with the cash that Checo brings in a top driver like Carlos. Yeah, I always thought Checo... I mean, the only thing is that Checo ultimately is a paid driver, isn't it? That's the thing now. So I think Williams have aspirations to drag themselves further up the grid, which they've been at before. Of course, about 30 years since they've been at the top. But, yeah, Williams obviously have aspirations to get better and not just tie over and increasing their value and increasing their profits and so forth. I think they generally have aspirations to be a top team again. And I guess the thing is that if you become a top team and you're successful, the money comes with that. So it's a good approach to have. Hey, Daddy, good to see you. Good evening, David, from Jakarta once again. He always said he would retire once he built a family. That could be in the next few years. Yeah, but when you're young, you say things and then you change them in a couple of years' time, like even in a year's time. So I don't think he's going to do a Nico Rosberg, put it that way. He may get to like... I don't think we'll see Max go into his late 30s. I think you'll see Max probably race till his early 30s and then probably call it quits and then go do endurance racing. That's probably what we'll do. Checo's a midfield driver at best. Yes, I agree, Sam. Yeah. Max could end his F1 journey with new regs at start of 26. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on enjoyment, doesn't it? But I don't know. No one knows truly what Max will do until he's there. And also, obviously, he's got all the money in the world as well. But when you're earning that sort of money, to then go and not earn that money is something that even with people that have got that amount of money already is a hit, kind of a hit for them. They get used to earning that sort of money and then they don't. I'm not saying obviously they're money orientated drivers, but it does play a factor as well, money. So Nico Rosberg had a really bad crash at this track. When did he have that crash? I can't remember. George Russell is commenting of quite a lot of vibrations in the track. He was complaining about his brakes earlier on as well. No sprint race this weekend. No sprint race, Dom. No, all sprint races have been completed, thankfully. So, Sainz at the top of the timing sheets, but it looks like Lando's going to take that away from him as he's going fastest in the middle sector. So, yeah, going to be interesting to keep an eye out on the McLarens and Ferraris' pace. Of course, Charles with that new battery, 10-place grid penalty he's got tomorrow. Or for Sunday, as Lando does go top with a 24.3. So getting quicker and quicker here as the fuel burns off, as the cars get lighter and these tyres get up to temperature. Max could just move into iRacing altogether considering the time he spends in it. Yeah, I think he'll do he'll do endurance racing for sure. Yeah. That's what he'll go into. He'll want to win Le Mans. He'll want to win the World Endurance Championship. That's what he'll want to go into. Who's to say? He might even have a break from F1. I could see Max having a break from F1 and then coming back to it. Like someone would take him back. It's like when Michael Schumacher left and then he came back to Mercedes, didn't he? Maybe you could see that from Max. He has a few years out and then he goes, okay, I want to get back into F1. Usually when I make big life decisions, it comes about rather rapidly. Who knows what decides it for him? Yeah, exactly. And look, let's be honest, he's in it, and fair play, he's in a fortunate enough position where he can take his time to make these decisions, and like he's quick enough that any team, if he took a break away from the sport, any team would take him back on and welcome him in. And yeah, maybe he does want to wait a few years until his little one grows up and he's got some more time to spend with her. I mean, endurance racing would allow him to do that. With F1, not so much, of course, with 24 races in the 24 race weekends in the sport. He might, when he or she is a couple of years old, yeah, I want to spend more time with the family. And endurance racing, I think there's 6 races a year, 7 races a year. That's considerably less than 24, isn't it? So what would a tyre wear be like this weekend, David? So normally it's quite high on the rears. Let me see if I can find the Pirelli The Pirelli thing. Hang on. They normally have a graphic for it. So Pirelli's graphic shows that yes, it is the rear tyre. The rear tyres that take the biggest load, and the front right as well. I think the front right took that much energy. But yeah, the rears take most of the battering around here because there's not really any high loaded corners. So of course you've got turn 13 and 14. You're leaning on the right hand side of the car, which is why the front right would be quite hurtful. Turn 15 and 16 you do, but you're kind of breaking into those really. And then turn 1, turn 1 is obviously a fast corner where you lean on the right hand side of the car. So yeah, it's front right and the rear is predominantly around here. The abrasion of the circuit, they're saying, is like in the middle. So yeah, it does play a factor here, but really historically Abu Dhabi's always been like a one-stop race, single like medium to hard compound tyre stop, unless there's safety cars and so forth. So yeah, that's why Abu Dhabi as well is not ever really the most exciting race, because it's always a one stop. We don't really get a lot of we've had some safety cars here, but yeah, Interlagos should still be the final race of the season in my opinion. Kimi Räikkönen currently trains little one for F1. Look, F1 may be the goal for his son or not, but he's definitely got him into karting, and he's doing that, and his boy seems to enjoy it. So, Alonso enjoyed himself twice. Also, he got into, like, Bahari. What do I think about Max's child? I have no opinions on Max's child, other than the fact of congratulations to him, and I'm sure he'll be a great dad, because he seems to be a great stepdad to I can't remember her name. I don't know her name, to be honest. But the Kvyat's daughter, his partner's daughter. So yeah, good luck to him. If he wants some advice for a newborn, I can give him some advice. Penelope, there you go. But yeah, I mean, obviously his partner has already had a baby, so I'm sure he's in very capable hands, and it's got, yeah, obviously he's got considerably more money behind me, so he'll be able to have a lot more support than maybe I can afford. So yeah. I don't really remember any big impact safety cars here. Yeah, other than one. Wonder if Kimi's kid can tell by his demeanour whether he's pleased or not in his training. I reckon Kimi is very different with his family than he is in the media. That's for sure. Kimi's quite a character, apparently. He is quite a character. It's just obviously he's never really... He kind of like got miffed with all the politicking of F1, so... I could give newborn advice to some iRacing advice. I can't give him iRacing advice. That's something I definitely can't do. He's well versed in that. So the match beef reminds me of the beef Prost and Senna had. Well, no, but Prost and Senna was miles worse than what we've seen with the comments from Russell and Max over the last couple of weekends. So yeah, that's nothing. If they were in a world title fight, then maybe, but Max reporting engine drivability in low RPM, understeering, massive understeer. So Max trying to dial in the car, of course, with this being his first practice session after missing out an FP1 where he had to step out for Isaac Hadjar as a rookie, as did Carlos Sainz for Charles Leclerc's brother, Arthur, as did Lawson, as well as did Lance Stroll, as did... Who else stepped out? I can't remember who else stepped out. Tsunoda and Piastri. What do I think about Max and George and Max's beef? Yeah, I spoke about it earlier in the first practice session. Look, I just think at the end of the day, drama's good for F1. I do side more so on with George Russell than I do Max, because I think Russell has hit a lot of things on the head. I think he's hit with his comments, and he has the right to reply. And Max is upset, of course, about what happened in the stewards. And I think really there is normally, it's a he said, she said situation thing, you know. And I think there's probably truth in both of what they're saying, and the truth probably lies somewhere in between. So no one can tell that Max is lying for definite, and no one can tell if George is lying for definite. But people know what Max's character is like, and he's probably has said something a bit untoward to George. Whether if it was those exact words, you don't know. We weren't there. But yeah, ultimately, every driver is always trying to gain an advantage wherever they can, whether it be in the stewards, whether it be through race direction, whatever, the media. And Red Bull and Max have been the best at it for the last decade. So the fact that someone has dared do it against them, whether you think the penalty was correct or not, like at the end of the day, that's what they all do. And he just doesn't like it, and Red Bull don't hit Max, and Red Bull don't like it when it falls back on them. They never have done. So, and they've always been very vocal about it as well, and that's what they're very good at. So, Phil Drive to Survive was good in the beginning, but now it's gotten too ridiculous. Drive to Survive it's not what it. The first two seasons were best. Cross was protected by the FIA chief. Senna shouldn't have DQ'd for the chicane in Japan. Yeah, to be honest, when you look back at it, it's on both of them. Like, it's on both of them. Like, Senna turns in. Like, who turned into who? I can't remember. Was Senna on the outside or Senna sent it up the inside? But Prost also turned in. Like, he knew. Like, Prost turned in so early that he wasn't even going to make the chicane. Like, he was going to turn into the barrier when you look at it back, so. What is stuff? What? What's on my screen? Data. Max and George historically as bad as each other when things don't go their way, hence why this is blown up between those two. The FIA wiping a brow with a distraction, I bet. Yeah, because they got rid of someone else, didn't they? They got rid of someone else. Unbelievable that anyone is still employed at the FIA, to be honest with you. Yeah. Senna was inside. Okay, yeah, so that's what I thought. Yeah. But yeah, no, they are both as bad as... are they both as bad as one another? I don't know. George just knows how to play the media very well. But Max is, and I've said this before as well, Max is also very well at playing the media himself. So the fact of it, he's able to play, like, the fact of it, he does make comments. He's not very active on social media, but he's very aware of what goes on social media and what his fans are probably saying and so forth. And he does say comments sometimes where I'm like, that's definitely going to rile up your fan base, and you know it's going to. And yeah, like with the whole British bias stuff and the passport stuff, like he wouldn't have said I've got the wrong passport if he wasn't aware of what is said about British bias on social media, because that's where it comes from. So yeah, he's very clever in that regard, and he knew exactly what that would stir up online. And then of course all the media outlets pick it up online and stuff, and all the chatter and the things. And look, Max, we praise Max for knowing the regulations and utilising them, and knowing the rule book. And look, when George Russell did the same thing to Max in Qatar, whether people think George sped up on purpose, he got Max a penalty. He utilised the regulations to his advantage, knowing Max was considerably under his delta, and he was able to gain pole position from it. So you have to give credit there as well. Max needs a YouTube channel. Do I think Lawson is underperforming? I don't think so. I think I think Vegas wasn't a good race for him. I think Qatar was a very topsy-turvy race. He qualified well in both. No, he qualified well in the sprint quali, and then he made a silly error down into turn 5. I can't remember exactly what he did, but he went off track. I don't know if he was avoiding someone, but it cost him a lot of places in the sprint race. And then on the Sunday, it was an okay race for him. The RBs weren't particularly great, him or Sonoda, but I think Lawson's been, considering he's considerably under pressure, more so than probably what Yuki is, because Yuki's already had his contract renewed earlier on in the season for next year. He's in his 4th year of F1. Lawson is in a very completely different situation where the pressure is all on him. He has to make an impact. He's Only got 6 races to do so, and he did so last season as well. I think considering those circumstances and the way that he has conducted himself in races as well, Mexico with Sergio Perez and the whole Alonso situation and the Circuit of the Americas race, I think he's done a lot. I think he's at least done a lot to deserve an opportunity for a full season. I'd like to see what Lawson could do in a full season, whether it be in the Red Bull or VCarb, who knows, but he deserves to be on the grid next year, in my opinion. The chance of Ferrari getting the World Constructors title is extremely slim. It is now, Neville. It is, yes, with that 10th-place grid penalty. But look, what a crazy season this has been. I don't think anyone would have expected it. Let's see, does this season have one more shock in store for us? It really wouldn't surprise me. So, what's the best way to gain SR in Formula? You need 0.8 by Tuesday, Lachlan. Just the best way to gain SR is to do the open series races, so the longer ones, 35 minutes, and just literally have a clean race. Because they're longer, you'll do more laps, you'll go around more corners, and obviously you'll gain more SR that way. So that's the best way to do it, man. Max does have a YouTube channel, does he? That is exactly what I think of the Lawson situation. Yeah, exactly. So, you missed FP1. Hadjar did all right. Okay. I'd say he did okay. He didn't do great. And then Arthur Leclerc finished like 19th. But look, it was just a nice moment for him with sharing a track with his brother. So, Colapinto going fastest out there, by the way. I wonder if this is on a set of tyres. Sorry, set of tyres. Of course it's on a set of tyres. A set of softs. I wonder if Colapinto's on a set of softs already. Let's see. Oh, has he just had to let Hamilton through? Or is he just backed out of that Colapinto? I think he has. Yeah, Colapinto out on the softs. Interesting. Okay, so we're starting to see some soft runs already. Let's see if Colapinto actually does set fastest lap here. No, he backed out of it. So we'll see if he goes again. Or unless he's going to warm up the lap again. But Lewis Hamilton out there on a set of brand new mediums, which is interesting. Why is he out there on a brand new set of mediums? He's only been on that previous set for 3 laps. That's intriguing there. Is this track easy to overtake or not? Oh, hang on. Max reporting the ride is really bad. The front axle is just not working. So Max not happy with that Red Bull at the moment. Trying to dial it in. P5. As Charles Leclerc reports, I'm not sure if I destroyed the plank because he went over one of the curbs. Ooh. Overtaking wise, there's only really 2 overtaking opportunities. That is down into turn 6, where we have 2 DRS zones here. So the first one is from turn 5 down to turn 6, and then from turn 7 to turn 9. Now, we do see overtakes down into turn 5 sometimes, but in general racing conditions, when we have kind of like trains of cars, turn 5 isn't really an overtaking opportunity. We've seen it, but not so often. So yeah, with a one-stop, primarily this being a one-stop strategy as well, never really bodes that well for a decent race for Abu Dhabi. But unfortunately, money talks, and yeah, that's why we've been continually coming to Abu Dhabi for the last race of the season. So, why does Leclerc have a 10-place grid penalty? New battery, Rambir, new battery. Afternoon, Jackie. Welcome. Afternoon all. With Max and George, I think George is purposely causing problems between him and Max so that Toto may not go after Max. Ooh, conspiracy. Another layer to the Max and George scenario. Maybe. Yeah, you never know. I think the thing is, with the George and Max situation, the reason why I would disagree with that thought process is that George didn't come out to the media first. So no one knew anything of this until Max brought it up post-race and stated that obviously he'd lost a lot of respect to George and made all these comments, and then George has come out and replied to him. So if George came out first, I'd be more inclined to agree with that. But because Max is the one who started it in the media, at least started it in the media, that's what I would say. That's why I would kind of disagree with that. But I like it. I like you thinking outside the box, though. Is the championship over? It's never over until the checkered flag. But it is looking less likely for Ferrari to win the Constructors. So yeah, I mean, they really need Sainz to Sainz with that 10-place grid penalty that Leclerc has. Sainz really needs to pull his finger out and have a decent performance here this weekend and get on pole position, so that he can start ahead of Lando and that he can hold the McLarens up. That's what he needs to do. When and where to follow F2's final race? The only way that I know you can follow F2's final race is on Sky, on TV, or through maybe BBC with text coverage. Unfortunately, Multiviewer doesn't yet have F2 coverage. There isn't, or F1 TV actually doesn't have live data, I believe, for F2. So if it was possible, I would do that watch along as well. But yeah, we don't have that access yet. Maybe in the future. F1 outside of the grid is just a Mean Girls plot. We need it though. We need. I'm much more like the fact that drivers don't get on with each other than they more likely are to. You know, like we love a bit of needle. What do I think about Bottas's future? I think his time in F1 has come to an end. I don't think we'll see Bottas back in F1 unless it goes to like Mercedes as a reserve driver. He won't get another seat, even at that Caddy seat. I'd be very surprised if Cadillac took Bottas. But yeah, I think his time has come to an end. So, hey Stephen, yeah, I'm very well, thank you, mate. Hope you're good. Sainz only needs P2 because if Lando, yeah, that's what I kind of mean. Given like he needs to at least start on first place. He needs to be behind. If he's behind Leclerc, like if Leclerc gets pole, but yeah, I mean Sainz needs to just finish ahead of Lando, start ahead of Lando, basically, and try and hold up the McLarens. So Leclerc takes out Norris and Piastri into turn 1, and then Sainz wins his final race. Hey Spice, good to see you. Delusional? No, you're not delusional, but wishful thinking, maybe. Wishful thinking. I don't know. I mean, retirements, who knows? Who knows? Obviously, it's been a very long season. We've started to see a couple of mechanical retirements in the last couple of races, so maybe we'll see that here in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, I think we will see some retirements. You've heard Chip about Vettel coming back? No, he's not coming back. But yeah, but at the moment, 30 minutes into this session, and we're starting to get drivers come out onto the soft compound tyre now. Yes, this is what we wanted to see. So this is where we're going to see some quali runs, guys, because this is the only night practice session that we are going to get. So the track conditions are going to be as close as they're going to be all weekend until we actually get into qualifying and the race on Sunday. So drivers out there on the softs now. So let's keep an eye on Piastri, shall we? A purple first sector for him at 17.1 as he's on the softs. Max Verstappen out there on a set of softs as well. And what was the fastest lap from last year? What was pole position for last year? Let's have a quick check. As Piastri heads down into the turn 6 corner, or turn 6 chicane, 6 and 7. The results. Let's head to 2023, and we have Abu Dhabi qualifying. So pole position last year was a 23.4. Well, 23.4 was the fastest lap we got last year by Max. So keep that in your head, guys. As Lando's gone, wow, 1.5 One of the bit temps, a tenth quicker there in the first sector. A night session. Well, it's nearly a night session. Nearly a night session. Purple middle, so 123.7 for Piastri there, and in comparison, you look at Magnussen, a 24.2. Of course, we don't know what fuel loads they're all running either, but you do suspect that it'll be quite relative to what we see in qualifying. Verstappen there with a 24.5. Did he get impeded there in his lap? As Bottas goes second fastest, wow. But Norris coming across the start-finish line, goes 2 and a bit temps quicker than his teammates, so 23.5, nearly as fast as last year's Q3 time. Charles Leclerc about to start his lap. Carlos Sainz about to finish his. It's not quick enough. He's 2 temps down on Norris in the first sector and in the second sector. And that shows there because he was, well, yeah, lost about 2 temps in every sector there pretty much. As he's 6 temps back on Lando Norris. But let's keep an eye on Charles with that brand new battery unit. Let's see how he gets on, as we're seeing some quali runs right now. Lewis Hamilton about to start his quali run as well as he heads down into turn 1. But Charles Leclerc, 17.29 in the first sector, so not that great compared to Norris. Norris was a good couple of attempts quicker. So Norris really found the grip in that McLaren. We saw it in Qatar, where McLaren were able to switch on their tyres so much quicker than the rest of the field. Maybe they need multiple laps here, Ferrari to get on, or others in general, to get their tyres up to temperature. We'll see if they do a second run, those of Leclerc and Hamilton and Sainz, etc. As Hamilton has done a 17.160, so quicker than the Ferraris in the first sector there, Hamilton. Second in the first sector, splitting the 2 McLarens. Let's keep an eye on Hamilton, shall we? Is he going to get impeded here with Norris and Russell? No, seems to be okay as he heads down into turn 9. And a slow middle sector for Hamilton there, though. 36.3, which is all the way down in P9. So not a quick middle sector from him. 3 temps off of Lando Norris there for Hamilton. So not entirely sure what happens with Lewis. Is it just a lack of top speed in the Mercedes, or was there a bit of traffic that actually generally got in his way? Who knows? But Hamilton coming across the start-finish line, and he goes P4. 6 temps off of Norris there, and yeah, so Hamilton's just lost pretty much half a second in the second sector and the last sector alone. Oof, that Mercedes. So we'll see if George Russell can try to do something. He's now on his flying lap. He's been struggling with his car and his setup. As Max Verstappen reports, the front axle, still complaining about it. He's complaining that the front axle doesn't grip up, so he's not enjoying it out there at the moment. Hey, Wickman, a long-time watcher, first-time chat. Channel 4 showing the race live tomorrow. Oh, wow. You're watching that with the sound off and Stuffey's commentary. Ah, thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. It's great to see that F1's back on terrestrial TV, though. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's only 2 races a year, isn't it? But I'm surprised, actually, Abu Dhabi's on Channel 4 live. Normally, they don't do that. Normally, it's just Silverstone. Jackie, this is going to be an emotional weekend because Lewis is leaving Mercedes, but hey-ho, he's going to Ferrari, so looking forward to next season. Yes. Yeah, Christian Horner actually reiterated earlier on in an interview that the regulations are basically pretty stable to next year. There's not any changes to the regs, so it's just a carryover to next year. And he was even saying himself that next year is going to be very exciting with how close the top 4 teams are. So yes, team principals even stating how excited they are for next season. So yeah, could be one of the best seasons. We're hyping it up. We need to let's lower our expectations, because if we hype it up, it probably won't live up to our expectations. But there is a lot of potential for next year. Is all I think we're saying and hoping for. So yeah. You're late, Wonk. Where have you been? Nah, it's all good, man. Drivers are out there on quali laps at the moment. They're on quali laps, so we're going to see if they go again. So Charles Leclerc's on a cool down lap. Is he going to go again? Carlos Sainz has come out on another set of softs as well. So we're seeing a lot of softs being used. Drivers coming in for brand new sets of softs. Charles Leclerc's going for a second run. So let's keep an eye out on Charles's lap time here. I'm intrigued to see in regards to the tyre warm-up. So he was quite far off the pace of Norris, as you can see, a second off. But this is his second time lap on this set of softs. So we saw at Qatar, obviously, drivers doing a couple of out laps, a couple of warm-up laps. McLaren were like the only ones who were able to really get their temperatures in their tyres quickly. So let's keep an eye on Charles Leclerc. 17.3 in the first sector, so no, that's a couple of temps off there. That's slower than what he did previously as well. And, well, I say a couple of temps off. That's 3 temps off of Lando's first sector time, so not great. Of course, we don't know what fuel loads are being used as well, so that could be slowing him down. But let's see if he improves in the second sector. Are we going to see any greens? Are we going to see any purples? 36.0 is what Lando did in the middle sector. And that's a 36.25 for Charles. So it's down on Lando's times. It's only 8th fastest for the Ferrari in the middle sector. Oof. So looks like the second lap isn't doing it really. Isn't really doing it. As Sainz, isn't on a brand new set. Sainz is on the same set of tyres as well. So let's see how he does. Same again, 17.3. So the Ferraris, yeah, it seems to be that pushing through that first sector isn't really doing it. Charles Leclerc had a little lock up down into turn. Is that turn into turn 6, or was it down into turn? As no, Charles getting caught in some traffic, so I wasn't too happy earlier on. What drivers take part in the test next week? Oh, I can't remember. Do I think there's a chance that Red Bull keep Sergio so they do as well in the Constructors and get more time in development? I know it's ridiculous. I know. So we spoke about it earlier on, guys. Checo. I think Red Bull do want him out, but it's not in their control. It is in Checo's hands. There is definitely something that they are tied to in regards to their contract with Checo. And Horner let kind of slip earlier on that it's up to Checo. And with his comments last week as well, I think they want to get rid of him. That's why they're saying it's up to Checo. It's up to Checo. They're trying to let the media know. But yeah, Checo's pretty bullish and that he's got a contract and that he can stay next year. And I think that contract is airtight by the looks of it. There must be a considerable fee that they would have to pay for Perez to buy Perez out of his contract. And I think I think he's going to be there next year. So exactly, Antonio. Yeah. Oh no, Colapinto's car has got issues to it, and unfortunately, Colapinto will not be back out there. He will not be back out there. But Jack Doohan, first race of the year in P19 at the moment, just trying to get the laps in, dial the car in. Lando and Norris and Piastri are happy up there, aren't they? They're looking very good. They're definitely looking the team to beat, aren't they? Why would they sign him a 2-year deal in the first place? I know, because they probably were, because of the money that he brings in, and because they were probably hoping that he would at least be finishing in the top 10, but he's not even doing that, is he? So Checo must have got those Man City lawyers. Horner never lets anything slip. He's too calculated. True, but I do think there's consistency in his comments from last weekend and now this weekend that it's Checo's to decide. It's not Red Bull's. I think they want to obviously want to seem like they've got the control, because a team always wants to make like out they've got the control, but Perez has got the control, at least for next season. So, hey Ibrahim, Red Bull would earn more money if they put someone better in the car, better cost in the long run. They wouldn't, Stephen. That's the problem. That is genuinely the problem. There's only a £12 million difference between first place and third in the Constructors. Checo brings in a shed load of cash in sponsors, as we know. 30 million on top of his sponsors paying for his wage. So they're earning £30 million in profit, or dollars in profit, whichever currency it is. They don't pay his wage, and he supposedly is bringing in more sponsors for next year. So he is a very, very lucrative driver to be in that seat. But from a driver's perspective, they have now come to the end of their patience with him, evidently, and Red Bull wants to get him out of that seat, but it's not in their control. And that's the I think that's what the kind of comments from Horner have been suggesting recently, that it's like it's up to Perez. When is it other? When have you ever heard a team say it's up to Perez, up to their driver, to whether they leave or not? Like, no. Especially at Red Bull, who we know don't hang around when it comes to getting rid of drivers and replacing drivers, you know. So, yeah. Joe's lap is better than Max's. Yeah, Max is struggling with dialing in the setup of the car. He's complaining about the front end. He's got no front end grip. So he's getting a lot of understeer, and as we know, Max hates understeer. So, yeah. We'll see. Of course, it's his first practice session. Highly expect Max to get this car and Red Bull get this car in shape for at least tomorrow. As we know, they'll do probably a lot of simulator work, a lot of work on the car. So, yeah. Yuki hasn't performed good enough for that seat anyway. Neither has Lawson. It's absolutely looking like a cursed seat since Danny left. Yeah. Yeah. I would like to see Lawson have a whole season. We mentioned it earlier. I'd like to see Lawson at least have a whole season in F1. Not this sporadic, come in for 6 races and then go again. Like, give him the confidence of knowing, look, you've got a full season. Because Yuki's had that for 4 years in a row. So Yuki should be beating Lawson because of that reason. But he hasn't consistently been beating Lawson. As long as they pay the piper, yeah. They can just put Yuki in that RB seat until summer break to make a decision while keeping Lawson and Hadjar at the junior team. Yeah, I just think Perez is staying, guys. I think it is. I think it's as simple as money. Do you think Colapinto can still get a seat in the future? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so. Bottas almost got points with Zhou last race, but I believe Bottas will get points this race. It'd be great to see Bottas end on a high. P7 at the moment. That Stake F1 car looks okay at the end of the season. They've finally put some development into the car and brought some upgrades. They've waited till the last 3 races to do so. But yeah, it seems like while everyone has kind of stayed stagnant, is no doubt focusing on next year and just dealing with what they've got. Stake F1 actually made some good improvements. So yeah. Zhou last week, hopefully Bottas this week. I'll be rooting for him, that's for sure. What is the track temperature? At the top of your screen, you can see wind temperature, speed. You've got track temperature, air temperature. It is 31 degrees. That's come down about 2 degrees since we started this stream. So yes, as we head into the evening at Abu Dhabi, the temperature is starting to cool. So 16.5 minutes remaining of this session. Max is out there on a lap on the medium, so he's really just trying to, he's done his quali run. He's complaining about setup of the car. He's just trying to dial that in right now and gather some data and get that car into a decent window. Of course, another practice session tomorrow, which we'll be here for, FP3, in our last FP3 of the season. Give me one honest answer. Has Checo been given a good car? Yes, he has been. Yes. The problem is that Checo just cannot drive that car. He's not talented enough to do so. Simple as. And he's shot of confidence as well. And he's probably got in his head that he can't drive it. So, the best cars in history are the most difficult to drive. Simple as that, really. And the car, Max likes to set up the car in a particular way. Now, yes, has development probably geared more towards Max's preference? Yeah, probably. As any team would do. But Perez has always struggled in that car. So, funny to imagine it's Perez getting the one back, all the drivers Red Bull through under the guillotine. He's actually carrying out a Telenova plot. Does Lewis's car have all the names on? I think so, yeah. In terms of Max, it's both the car and the driver, but for Checo, it's just the car. So you think Checo... I just don't think Checo's that good of a driver. I don't. I think he's had the opportunity to prove himself, and he's just not good enough. So... it's a shame because I'm always for midfield drivers to get a shot, but it's a joke now. And this is the thing, Ginger, is that if you look at Perez, the way that he drove, he never had outright pace. The way Perez won races, the way Perez did well in a midfield team is that he was able to manage his tyres. So he drove in a way, and the cars were developed in a way where he was able to just completely overcut all of the other drivers around him. And he'd either benefit from a safety car, or he would just be on such fresher tyres at the end of the race. So he would outdrive them by his tyres. And as soon as he's gone into a top team where you can't just win races with that strategy and that style of driving, he's found out that he's not capable enough at the top of the grid. So where you need the pace, you need all of that in one. So, but he's been given his opportunity, and you have to try and take it. He was out of F1, wasn't he? He was out of F1 until Red Bull gave him that chance, and he's won, obviously, 2 Constructors titles with them. Arguably, Max could have won those on his own. But, yeah, you have to take that opportunity. And unfortunately for him, it has now come to an end. And whether if it's this year, this is his last race at Red Bull, who knows? But next year, I think he'll be there next year now. So, you don't think Perez got the asymmetrical braking? Ooh. Checo went from fighting Max for wins to fighting to get into Q2 and finishing in the points. Yeah. He's a good blocker. Yeah, arguably, without Perez's help, even with that safety car in Abu Dhabi, that hold-up of Perez on Hamilton ensured that Hamilton didn't have a large enough of a gap to pit onto new tyres when that safety car came out. So, yeah, Perez was very, very influential in Max Verstappen's first championship win, as were a few other individuals as well. Didn't he get into Red Bull from that one race where he outplayed everyone with tyre management? Maybe I'm misremembering. Yeah, it was the Sakir Grand Prix. It was the race that George Russell should have won when he stepped in for Lewis Hamilton when Lewis came down with COVID, if you remember. So, just for his second final shift of the day. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. How's his practice been? Okay for a practice session. We've just had some quali runs, which is why you see the order now. We can see that Max has just been struggling with dialing in the setup of the car, struggling with front end, complaining about understeer, and we know Max hates understeer. He likes the car being really pointy, so if he doesn't have that front end grip, yeah, that is a no-go for Max. So he's out there just doing some long runs now. Bottas is looking quite good in P7. A bit down on pace to Ferrari, surprisingly. We don't know the fuel loads, of course, but I've expected the Ferraris to be closer to the McLarens, even in practice. But, yeah, they're a little bit off the pace. So we'll see. We'll see if that translates over to tomorrow. No doubts. Of course, they're all still learning out there. Track temperature continuing to come down, 30.8 right now. So, more like go Tiffy. That's true, yeah. But, yeah, I think we all know about 2021, Jones. We all know about 2021. It's all politics in it. Science would be in that seat without all the nonsense with Senior and Joss. 100%, Ginger. 100%, yeah. Yeah, I still think Daniel Ricciardo was going to be in that seat at the summer break. Like, Max and Daniel were overly pally. Like, look, we know they're friends and we know they get on. They were overly pally at Spa, the last race before the summer break. Daniel Ricciardo was doing all the PR stuff with him as well when he's at RB and Checo wasn't. It seemed very odd. There were images of Daniel Ricciardo having conversations with Horner and with Helmut Marko. And they even left the track on the same helicopter as well. It all seemed like it was a done deal. And then they had the meeting on the Monday. And Checo was then confirmed to be staying. Helmut Marko wasn't happy, reportedly not happy. I still think more money was laid on the table. I reckon more money was offered to them to keep Perez. Simple as. or they were reiterated by lawyers or whatever. This is the contract, or the accountants or something, and this is the contract. We cannot move Perez down into RB or remove him from the Red Bull seat because it will cost us X, Y, Z. And that's maybe the situation they're in now, and they didn't realise they'd got themselves into this hole with Checo. Maybe there's that as well. But yeah, I'm convinced Ricciardo was going to be in that Red Bull seat after the summer break. And how things change in F1, because now Daniel Ricciardo's not even in an F1 anymore. So in those last 6 races, DR was performing much better than Yuki and almost as good as Checo. Was so bizarre. Yeah, it just comes back down to money, doesn't it, really? So Alex Albon, by the way, the 2 Williams not in a great position right now. Alex Albon was also out on track and had to limp back to the pit lane. So both Williams cars in the last race of this season, and then probably looking forward to seeing the end of this season with the amount of money they've spent on the cars, they both have issues at the moment, which are not going to see them out for the remainder of this practice session. So yeah, Williams on the back foot here this weekend, guys. I hope no one's bored of this chat, as the off-season is going to be full this Checo chat. Yeah. Perhaps for most he fought for especially McLaren, fair play to Max. He does deserve this year. Yeah, of course does. Perez's car is different from Max's car. It's probably different in regards to the fact of the direction that it's been developed in. I reckon actually it's the same. I do think it's the same. I think when you can say, hang on. Max also reports in turn 3 he hit the plank quite hard. Look at Max's onboard. He has got quite a bit of understeer. He's got a lot of understeer at the moment. That Red Bull does not look very comfortable to drive. Max is losing a lot of time all over the place at the moment. Although his last lap didn't seem too bad, 29.6 really. So, but yeah, that looks a bit of a handful, that Red Bull in Max's hands. Oh, Albon's back out on track. Okay, so they sorted out his engine, but he went into limp home mode. So, sorry, going back to Checo and Max. So, what has happened and what most teams do is that they get to a point in the season where they have to prioritise the direction of the development of the car. Now, if you've got one driver that's in the chance for the Drivers' Championship and considerably ahead of the other, you start to prioritise your development direction towards the preferred way that your main driver, your lead driver, likes to drive. And the way that Max and Checo like to drive are kind of complete opposites. Checo prefers more understeer. He doesn't like a very pointy car. Max hates understeer and wants a very pointy car. So there becomes a point in the season where you have to decide which direction you want to take. And for Red Bull, it's a no-brainer. They go for Max. And that just then makes it more difficult for Perez to perform. And that's why that gap gets bigger and bigger as the season goes on, because Perez is finding it difficult to control the car that has been developed more in Max's direction. And then because of that, you lose confidence in your driving abilities. And that's why you see the performance Perez has got right now. It's pretty simple in that regards, really. Because you look at when the car has been more understeery, Baku was the last time Perez had a really good performance. Of course, we know how it ended, but the car was more understeery. Max was complaining the car was not driving the way he wanted it to drive, and Perez seemed revitalised, but the car was back in his window, which is why he was fighting for the podium position. And Max struggled, and he just kind of saw it through. But then the next race after that, they sorted out the car, got it back into a nice window for Max, and Max absolutely trounced Perez. So, what do I think about Lewis and Leclerc? Will Hamilton be able to beat him? Hamilton will be able to beat him, but it'll be close. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see that dynamic next year. They will never change Perez because they squeeze to make Max look better. Well, yeah, because Max is the better driver. Max is a 4-time world champion. Why are you not... Max has proven it consistently that he is the better driver than Perez. Why would you not? Why would you not prefer Max, regardless of whether you like Perez or not? Like, as a team principal, you'd be silly not to prioritise Max. Checo needs to find the proper balance. He needs to be alongside Max, even though Max will always just outperform him. Exactly, and the best drivers in the sport are the most adaptable. They're able to deal with anything that the car does. And look at Max, even when the car has not been great, he has still dug deep and he's still got wins. He's still finishing the top 5. Like, Max's worst performance this year has been, other than the DQ in Australia, has been like 7th place at Monza. And excluding Monza, which is a unique track in itself, you're talking 6th place. Like, the man has barely finished outside the top 5 all season, even when the car has been shocking. But look at Perez. When the car's been shocking, he's finished outside the points. So that's not good enough. You can see that Albon, when he was in the Red Bull, he got worse as he completely lost confidence in himself. Exactly, yeah, and confidence is a massive factor. Look at Lewis now. Lewis doesn't have confidence in the car. Doesn't have confidence in the team and the scenario he's in with obviously him leaving the team. Whereas George is full of confidence, and you see that shine through. Even in racing in a sim. Anyone who's raced in a sim or an F1 game or whatever, when you change different setups and so forth, or you go to a track that you feel more confident at, you perform better. It's the same in real life. So the cleared 10th place group penalty will make the battle for the world constructors even more interesting. I don't know, I feel like it might have ruined it. Because it's a tall order because McLaren only need to win the race. And if Charles is starting down in 11th, which is the best he can start, he may even start 15th. We know how tight qualifying is at the moment between all the teams. So there's a high possibility Charles might not qualify. He'll qualify in 6th, which means then he's starting in 16th. So I don't know. But obviously Ferrari saw it as necessary and they were forced their hand. So yeah, that's why obviously he'll be starting tomorrow. But we'll be intently keeping an eye out on Charles's progression tomorrow over the weekend. So. So McLaren basically wins the Constructors. How was Colapinto in practice 1? He didn't compete in practice. Did he compete in practice 1? I can't remember. I think no, he did. Colapinto did alright in practice 1. This time around, unfortunately, he's got a mechanical issue with the car, which is why he's only done 7 laps. So shame for him, really. Shame for Colapinto. Hopefully Williams can get that fixed for him tomorrow, because we want to see Colapinto. We don't know the next time we're going to see Colapinto in an F1 car, because he doesn't have a seat for next year. He will be the Williams reserve driver. But yeah, hopefully he can end this season on a high and leave his mark. He's had a couple of poor races, of course, recently. Qatar wasn't good for him, getting taken out of turn 1. Not his fault, bearing in mind, but wasn't really on the pace anyway at Qatar. Vegas as well, he wasn't. Obviously Vegas was shocking for him, obviously crashing there, but yeah, need a good end to the year, Colapinto. You could do it. Hey Karam, do I think Checo's quit next year? No, Checo is in that seat next year. Lewis is driving better than George until Spa, where he saw the team try to help George mug a win off him. Yeah, that was, I mean, that's the thing, is that George threw a Hail Mary at that. George was down in P7, threw a Hail Mary at it. Lewis was in complete control of the race, and then George found himself in P1. But no one had gone for that one-stop strategy, because they knew, obviously, of those reasons for, obviously, the weight allowance not allowing for it. So, yeah, that was... I don't think anyone really planned for that to happen, but I don't think it was particularly shitted on Lewis. I think it was the fact of it, well, yeah, the only way we're going to really salvage something from this race is if George stays out there and just does the overcut, really, on the massive undercut on everyone. But yeah, obviously turned out to be not good for him. You feel sorry for Carlos? Yeah, I mean, I do feel like Carlos still deserves to be in a top team. The problem for Carlos is that he's not been consistent enough in his time at Ferrari. I think that's obviously why he's leaving. But yeah, I do think he still deserves to be in a top team. I think arguably he could be in that Mercedes seat next year if Kimi Antonelli wasn't around, and he should really arguably be in that Red Bull. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Max or Lewis is better in my eye. Please stop spamming the chat with that question. Being a Williams for a year is better than a year off. You always want to be on the grid, no matter what. Even if you're in a slow car, you want to be on the grid. It's better to be on the grid and then not to be on the grid and for people to forget about you. Because it's easy for F1 to be forgotten about. It's very tricky to stay in the eye of people. I mean, look, next year people are going to be completely forgetting about Colapinto. So yeah, you need to stay on the grid. That's all right, Gavin. No worries, mate. I think the best thing Ferrari could do is just forget about Charles for nearly the entire race. I mean, it worked for Monza. Yes, Charles has a 10-place grid penalty, Mahid. Has a 10-place grid penalty for Sunday because he has a new battery. But that is it. FP2 is over and done with, guys. And it is Lando and Piastri at the top of the timing sheets. Now, they're still running quite high fuel loads, just FYI, because we know that these cars are around a second quicker on average throughout the duration of this year compared to last year. Pole position last year was a 23.4. Lando Norris there just set a 23.5. So, yes, still hiding a bit of pace. A lot of the teams, it seems. Of course, track temperature will probably be a bit cooler come qualifying tomorrow night. But yeah, not looking good for Ferrari. The fact of Norris and Piastri comfortably at the top of the timing sheets there. Of course, with their Constructors Championship still in the balance. 21 points, made even harder by that 10-place grid penalty that Leclerc will have to take on Sunday. But yeah, Max Verstappen struggling with the setup. This is his first practice session because he gave the car to Isaac Hadjar earlier on this morning because of the rookies having to step in and do some running. So Max struggling to darn in the setup of the car down in P17. So he'll no doubt be stronger tomorrow, complaining that the car's got quite a lot of understeer. We know he doesn't like to drive the car that way. Colapinto had some mechanical issues with his car, so very limited running for him in this FP2 session. Doohan just trying to get settled into the Alpine car. A bit slow earlier on in FP1 and here, but no doubt he'll build some confidence and pace over the course of this weekend. Valtteri Bottas, P7. Go on, Bottas. Zhou Guanyu got points last week. Let's see if Bottas can do the same. And Hulkenberg looking good. But yeah, we don't know fuel loads, guys. We don't know what battery modes they're using as well. But I think something we can take from that is that McLaren do look quick. And that's worrying for Ferrari. So we'll see. We'll see. It's normally a one-stop, Arnold. Unfortunately. Normally a one-stop. But we'll see. We'll see. Russell didn't do one single... What, flying lap? Oh, I know. I don't know why it's saying he didn't do any lap. Of course he did. How can you become members, Margaret? If you go to YouTube, so if you're watching it on your mobile or if you're watching it on a desktop, if you hit the join... There's a join button. So rather than subscribe, there's a join button. And yeah, for £1.99 English pounds, you can join as a member. There's different tiers, but appreciate it regardless. And yeah, you can join as a member. It'd be really funny if someone managed to take out both McLarens at T1 on Sunday. I'm just hoping for a decent last race, because Abu Dhabi is always boring, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I'm not doing a very good job of advertising the race and getting you all to come back and watch the watch-along on Sunday, but I can't lie to you all. That's why you choose this channel, I guess. It's always a boring race, more often than not. But this season hasn't been boring, and I'm hoping it's got one last surprise in store for us, because, by God, does Abu Dhabi always need it. So... outside of Max, maybe, who are the most talented drivers? Just got back into F1 in the past month. Don't really know who to look out for. Oh, good question. So I would say exciting drivers to keep an eye on at the moment. Ooh, yeah, Oscar Piastri is one to keep an eye out on, for sure. Charles Leclerc, people obviously always look into Charles Leclerc. Keep an eye on him. I would say Lando as well. Lando has a lot of raw pace. Obviously, Lewis next year heading to Ferrari is always going to be interesting to keep an eye on, of course. Who else have we got there? I really do like Liam Lawson. I really do like Liam Lawson. I think he's someone to keep an eye out on. I think the two RB cars, the car's a bit flaky, but Tsunoda and Lawson are two very exciting drivers in my opinion. Oh, sorry, I'm forgetting the one driver you most definitely should be keeping an eye out on. The one driver you should most definitely be keeping an eye out on. Lance Stroll. Forget everyone else. Lance Stroll. You want entertainment? Entertainment. Lance Stroll. Forget everyone else. Keep an eye out on him. You will not be disappointed. He is F1's first ever 8-year rookie. Trust me, that's something to be proud of. It's something to be proud of. I'm genuinely not kidding. I do think Lance Stroll provides quite... While we do sit here and we complain about him, he does provide quite a bit of entertainment. Does he not? Does he not? He provides quite a lot of entertainment. So... yeah, so, I mean, they're the guys. I mean, for next year... yeah, Kimi Antonelli, I think, is someone to keep an eye out on. I think next year, keep an eye out on all the rookies, to be honest with you, because it's the first time in quite a long time that we're going to have 4 or 5 new rookies. I think we've got 4 new rookies next year. 4 or 5 new rookies, and that always spices up the grid because they're young, they're hungry, and they catch the old guard, the drivers who've been on the grid for a number of years. They catch them off guard quite a bit with their aggressiveness, with their kind of unpredictability nature, and they really can get under the skin of a lot of the more experienced drivers. So yeah, you're choosing a good time to get back into F1, I think. I'm obviously massively hyping up next year, but look, there's not really a lot. The cars are going to be pretty similar to next year. Not a lot is going to change on them, I don't think. And we're going to see it be really close again next season, and with a lot of driver changes as well. So yeah, keep an eye on the rookies, and yeah, keep an eye on those few that we mentioned. So you see a good half being dropped. What the rookies next year? You think, David? I don't think Kimi Antonelli will. I don't think Ollie Behrman will. Who are the others? Doohan, maybe. Who's the other one? Oh, who's driving next year? I need to find Bortoletto. Will Bortoletto be dropped? I don't think Bortoletto will be dropped. They've paid too much money for him. Stake F1. They paid too much money for him to get him out of the McLaren contract, didn't they? F1 2025 grid. Images. Where is it? Who knows who's lined up alongside Tsunoda? I do hope that Lawson's lined up alongside Tsunoda. So we've currently got Behrman, Antonelli, Bortoletto, Doohan. That's 4. I know Behrman's done a few races, but it'll be his first full season. So that's 4, potentially 5 if Perez does go and Lawson comes in, or Hadjar as well. So yeah, gonna spice things up a bit. Strolling around at the speed of sound, yeah. Yeah, I've been a fan of Ocon previously, but I feel so sad for him imagining him sitting out. Yeah, well, I think it was his choice. He approached Flavio, apparently. No, sorry. He approached Flavio and said, I want to do the test, the post-season test with Haas. And Flavio went, well, what's in it for me? And then I think they came to an agreement. I don't know if Flavio presented it to him, but clearly they accepted it. for him to do the postseason test with Haas, he'd step down this race. So could Ricciardo come back with Cadillac? Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know who Cadillac will go for. I think they'll go for an American driver, maybe Colton Herta, because there is a personal connection there with him and one of the top sponsors or something of Cadillac. And then I reckon they'll probably go for an experienced driver. So who knows who that'll be. Red Bull have an opposite thing to Mercedes when compared to practice and quali. Mercedes are good in practice, and Red Bull almost complaining about the balance in practice sessions, and boom, on quali. Yeah, they know how to dial it in, Arnold. I am not even contemplating Max Verstappen finishing anywhere near his FP1 position right there. They'll sort it out, and they'll get it. He'll be strong in FP3. He'll be there or thereabouts in the top 5 in FP3, and then qualifying. We know he'll be there. So, Sargent... Funny enough, Logan Sargent's just been confirmed to compete in ELMS, isn't he? So, Mercedes could have taken Bottas in place of Kimi until 26, just saying. Yes, I don't agree with that, though, because I think Mercedes pretty much see 2025 as kind of a training year for Kimi Antonelli. So, we're heading into a new regulation set. What better way to get Antonelli up to speed with the whole F1 circus than a year in 2026. George Russell is their clear number 1 driver. Kimi is the driver, but look, if he can beat George, happy days. If he can't, we're training him up, and he's then prepared for 2026. I think it's a good decision, really, for them. If you're going to get a rookie in and you're going to develop them, next year is a good year. I mean, you're not going to have many opportunities where you're probably not. I don't think Mercedes are sitting there and thinking we have a realistic chance of the championship next year, because I just think they've been way off the pace and been too sporadic with their performances in this regulation set. I think they're fully focused for 2026. So I hope that was the real case. But the helmet in his post, he had ready made it. Seemed like he thought he was going to be driving. Oh, what, Ricciardo? Yeah. Do I think Kimi is worth the hype? I don't know. I don't know. I think from what I've seen of Kimi, he's very promising. But F1 is a different kettle of fish. So only time will tell. I don't believe in hype much more, really, with drivers. I think because you can do well in the juniors, but then get up to F1 and it's completely different. Completely different. I mean, we've seen drivers who have had no hype whatsoever, and then they've done really well. Colapinto, yes, he's had a couple of crashes recently, but he's done really well. And Lawson as well had no hype around him, has come in, has done pretty well. So, you mean Antonelli? He was low key cooking in F2. Yeah, but I think if Mercedes know a lot more than us. They've seen obviously his tests. They've seen the data. There's a lot that they've seen to suggest that there's no point wasting him in F2 for much longer. And there's quite a difference with how the cars are from F2 to F1, especially when it comes to like setting up the car and so forth as well, like the complexity of it all. So yeah, there's real no comparison. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. Stroll also developed the wrong way. Yeah, he just paid for his development. Next season title will be up for grabs for anyone who takes the opportunity. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. And that is it from me today in these watch-alongs. So yeah, 2 practice sessions, the last ones of the year. And well, tomorrow, what time is FP3 on tomorrow? Shall we have a check? FP3 is on tomorrow at 10:30 UK time, 10:30 AM, and then qualifying is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So yes, be sure to hit your notification button to ensure you'll never miss the stream. But yes, I am now going to go out for a few drinks this evening, some Christmas drinks, Christmas quiz. So yeah. Slipped away just like Braun into. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you as always. Hit that like and subscribe button. We're back tomorrow, of course. And yeah, have a good Friday evening. And we'll see you tomorrow for FP3 and qualifying and see what Charles Leclerc can do to minimise that 10th place grid penalty that he's got. And Carlos Sainz as well. Will McLaren be as quick as they were in that session just there in FP2? Of course, looking to secure their first Constructors title in 24 years. So, yeah. Thank you, guys. Have a lovely Friday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.